Our second speaker for this evening is StephenWh. Smoke gets in your eyes. Smoke gets in your eyes. StephenWh.
Madam Toastmaster, ladies and gentlemen, a wise man once said, with great power comes great responsibility. Now, depending on your Google search, that was either Voltaire or that other great philosopher, Ben Parker, Spider-Man's uncle. Regardless, I'm sure we would all agree with the sentiment, and we would probably agree that one of those responsibilities is to protect others, and another might be to uphold the law. However, and unfortunately, with great power also comes the opportunity to avoid those responsibilities. This can be illustrated by James Packer, who has recently found a means to sidestep the law and also potentially endanger the lives of his workers. Why am I picking on James Packer? Well, James Packer wants to build a new casino on the Sydney Harbour foreshore. One of the main aims of this casino, and in fact one that Packer emphasised in order to get the initial go-ahead for it, is to attract VIP gamblers, the so-called high rollers from overseas, particularly China. Now, as you can imagine in planning a venture of this kind, Packer's been very meticulous in keeping on side as far as regulations are concerned, where it's suitable to do so, or in lobbying hard to get the laws changed where he really needs to. He's also managed to keep the anti-gambling lobby on side by offering counselling services for problem gamblers. One of the problems that Packer faces in an increasingly competitive market in high-end casinos is in making his casinos dazzling enough to attract the high-level gamblers from China, the nouveau riche, many of whom, or most of whom, smoke and want to be able to smoke while they're laying their bets. And that's just something you cannot do. It was 7 years ago that New South Wales, along with all the other states and territories, passed legislation that banned smoking in all public places and workplaces. And in fact, Australia's been very much in the vanguard of countries proactively discouraging smoking in all respects, largely to mitigate the effects of passive smoking. And why would that be? Well, research shows that passive smoking actually causes the same diseases as direct smoking. Cardiovascular diseases, lung cancer, respiratory diseases. Research undertaken by the Swedish National Board of Health indicates that globally 600 deaths per year can be directly attributed to passive smoking. 600,000, that's 1% of all deaths. These are the kinds of statistics that are very difficult to ignore, unless you're James Packer. So what has he done? Has he chosen to follow the law and protect his workers? No, of course he hasn't. He's looked at the hand in which he's been dealt, and he's immediately struck an agreement with the New South Wales chapter of United Voice, the hospitality union. And under this agreement, high rollers will be able to smoke at the VIP gaming tables. Casino workers will have to waive their rights under the passive smoking legislation. Now, Mark Boyd, who is the New South Wales Secretary of United Voice, must share some of this responsibility. And I'd like to just give you a couple of quotes that show just the change in position of United Voice. In June 2013, he said, "The health standards are clear. There is no safe level for tobacco smoke. That's why it's barred in every other workplace in New South Wales." Just a few months later, in October 2013. It's not that we don't have a concern anymore, it's that if you get rostering and technology right, it becomes less of an issue. I'm sure cynically, that it's just happenstance that Mark Boyd happened to be a guest of Crown Limited, Packer's company, at an exclusive grand final event at some point around that time. So then, one thing I also want to quote is the Memorandum of Understanding between the Union and Crown Limited, which states that smoking by high rollers would be a commercial necessity. So then, it's a commercial necessity to potentially endanger the lives of casino workers. I come back to my original point. With great power comes great responsibility. Surely we would say that Packer has a moral and legal responsibility to adhere to the law and protect the lives of his workers. But instead, he has chosen to just take their money. Really, when it comes down to it, I'm sure that I would actually go further. Packer should be promoting the health benefits to his international visitors and making sure that they understand the risks of passive smoking. But then again, perhaps he's just happy to take their money while the smoke gets in their eyes. Fantastic.